get started with video 2 on reflections, and we're going to continue by reflecting in the coordinate plane. And of course, I'm going to highly advise that as we do the examples, you put your markers, your pens, your whatever you're taking notes with down, that you watch, that you listen, and then when I'm done, you pause, pick your stuff up, write it all down, and draw it all in, and then continue on in that fashion. It's just going to be better for you today so that you can take some high quality notes that you are autographing with success. Yes, does that extend the length of the video a little bit? For you, yes it does. But in the end, that is very, very valuable, well-spent time, I guarantee it. So, reflecting in the coordinate plane, you read all this stuff where it says, hey, if I reflect in the x-axis, take the opposite of the y-coordinate, reflect in the y-axis, you take the opposite of the x-coordinate. It kind of shows that with its algebra right here. And what it means, and this is what I wrote down on mine, if I reflect in the x-axis, my coordinates look like this. X stays, y opposite. If I reflect in the y-axis, x is opposite, y stays. That's what it says. And of course, with every single transformation that we have done, every time we've moved a figure and made a new image, with a reflection, the original and the image are congruent. They are congruent. Absolutely. If not, we did not do our reflection correctly. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. So I advise you to put things down, listen and watch. When I'm done, I'll tell you to pause, and you can move from there. So we're going to reflect a figure in the coordinate plane. By reflecting this figure in the x-axis, identify the coordinates of the image. Highly, highly recommend, of course, recommendations, I like to call them Rossisms every once in a while, are only good for those of you who pick them up and use them. And if you're not using them and you're not finding the success that you want, you might want to start seeing, how can I change what I do? How can I build my character in a way that allows me to achieve what I want to achieve by developing my character and my intelligence? So I'm going to start off right here, and it says, reflect in the y-axis. I always, 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 always highlight my line of reflection, and it's telling me it's my x-axis. So that means when I'm done reflecting, my new image better be on the opposite side of that red line. It just better be, or I didn't do it correctly. All right, so I know that, and I don't like about this example is that it's not labeled. So I'm going to label real fast. I'm going to go A, B, and C, and I'm going to write down my original coordinates, and that A is -5, -1, B is -5, -4, and C is -1, -4. Oops, -4. All right, so there we go. And now I am going to reflect. And we talked about in the first video that every point of the original is the same distance from the line of reflection as its new image. So this makes it real easy. All we have to do is count. So I'm going to start here at A, and I only have to go 1 to get to the line of reflection. So if I count up 1, boom, right there, exactly opposite of A and the same distance from the line of reflection. So A prime is right there. I'm going to come over here with my image, and A prime is now where? -5, 1. And B, I have to count up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, put a point. Here's B prime. So I'm going to come over and write down my B prime location, which now is -5, +4. And then I'm going to do C. C is down here, and I have to count up 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to the line of reflection. Exactly opposite, the same distance, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can put my point right there, C prime. And now I can come over here. C prime is where? -1, +4. Oop, -1 and +4. And of course, as you're going to do, you're going to grab your nice straight edge and you're going to make a wonderful line so that you are autographing your work with excellence. And now I'm going to check a few things out. Please do not pause yet. I'm going to check a few things out. ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to notice we learned that every point, once again, is the same distance. And we did that. We counted it out, same distance. We know they're exactly opposite, and we did that as well. We also learned just now a moment ago that when we're reflecting in the x, that every x point stays the same and every y point is opposite. So since we did it in the x-axis, we're going to look. All these are the x points. So all of these right here, did they stay the same when we come over to the image? -5, yep. -5, yep. -1, yep. They all stayed the same. What happened to the y? Oh, the y did what? The y went, the y went opposite. From -1 to +1. From -4 to +4. From -4 to +4. All right? It all worked out. Now I wouldn't draw all that highlight and stuff right now, or these arrows that I just put in. I wouldn't put those in when you pick up your pen, but now's the time to pause and draw the new image, write down all the coordinates, and then continue on with me with our next example. Welcome to example 4. We're going to again reflect the same figure. We're going to reflect it in the y-axis, and we're going to write down the new image coordinates. So we're going again this time in the y-axis. So what do I always tell you I'm doing? I highlight my line of reflection, and my new image better be on the opposite side of that line. Let's write down our original points once again. So our original, yes, all your stuff is down, and you're saying them with me as I write them down when you look. A is -5, -1. B, -5, -4. C, -1, -4. So there's all of our original locations. And so we're going to now reflect over the y-axis. So now I'm going to move every point in the same line, exactly opposite, and the same distance from the line of reflection. So I'm going to start with A. I've got to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put my point, and there's now A prime. So I'm going to list my image. A prime is at now 5, -1. Let's go to B. B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put my point, and there's B prime. And B prime is 5, -4. And then I'm going to go to C. C is only 1, so I go 1, bam, right there. C prime, I'll draw my line. And then I come over here, and C prime is at 1, -4. And I'm going to look, and I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, are all the y coordinates the same and all the x coordinates opposite, because we're reflecting in the y? So let's find out. I didn't want to highlight. I want to highlight the y. The y should stay the same. So -1, -4, -4. I come over here, -1, -4, -4. Those all stayed the same. Yes, they did. And then I check -5 to 5, -5 to 5, -1 to 1. Wow. All the x's are opposite. All the y's are the same when I reflected over the y-axis. Make sense? Ladies and gentlemen, pause, pick up your pens, and get busy, and then join me for our next 2 examples. Welcome to number 5 and number 6. This time we're going to take the coordinates of a point and its image, which are given, and we're going to find out, is the reflection in the x or the y? So here we don't have a coordinate grid. We don't get to see the original point and its reflection. We're only told what the point is. And we have to draw back to what we remember. What we learned at the beginning of this second video. That if we reflect across the x coordinate stays the same. And the y coordinate is opposite. If we reflect across the y, well then the y coordinate stays the same and the x coordinate is opposite. So when I come over here and I take a look, 0, 0, well the x coordinate stayed the same. Okay, and 3 to negative 3, the y coordinate was opposite. So the x stayed the same, and the y is opposite. So what stays the same when we reflect? That's right. Whatever the axis is, that coordinate stays the same. So since the x stayed the same, this first one is in the x-axis. When we come to our second example, we take a look at the x-coordinate. Ooh, x is opposite this time. And we look at the y, and the y is the same. So we obviously went on the y-axis because we always reflect over the axis of the coordinate that stays the same. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and pause your video and then join me for our last example of the night. Welcome to example 7, where, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to combine and we're going to reflect first this triangle in the x-axis, and then we're going to reflect this image, or reflect the image in the y-axis. What is the location of the new coordinates? So that means we're going to do 2 reflections in a row. We're going to reflect the original figure, and then we're going to reflect the image. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick looky-see. I'm going to start off with red, and it says reflect in the x-axis. So I'm going to highlight my x-axis with red, and I am going to reflect. I'm starting out with J. It's 2 down, so I'm going to go 2 more down because it's the same distance. J prime. K is also 2, so 1, 2 for K prime. And L is down 4, so I go down 4, and here's L prime. So here's my image. And of course, you use a nice straight edge when you do yours. And now it says we're going to reflect in the y-axis. So I'm going to highlight my y-axis with blue to show my new image from blue. From the image to my next image. So I'm going to start with L. L is 1, 2, 3. So I go over 1, 2, 3. And here's L prime prime. That's my second image. So the first one is L prime. The second one is L prime prime. K goes over 3 as well. K prime prime. And J goes over 4. So J prime prime. And I draw my new figure. So J prime prime, because that's the last place we stop reflecting, is at 4, negative 2. L prime prime, not that I'm going alphabetically or anything, that's at 3, negative 4. And K prime prime is at 3, negative 2. So that's where I end up. All righty? You go ahead and pick up your pen and get that done, and then join me for the extension of this question. So I want you to have this bonus thinker here. I want you to think and maybe draw it out on your own time, because I'm not going to do it here in class. We'll talk about it, or I'm not going to do it in this video. We'll talk about it in class. Would the image location be the same if you first went to over the y-axis and then the x? So in other words, if we first reflected over here and then reflected down, would we have the same exact location, the same orientation? Would the prime prime be exactly the same? Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with our video tonight. You do have a copy of this quick write, so as soon as you have that done, you are done for the night. We will see you tomorrow, ready to rock and roll and get your stuff done, because we are having fun. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.